Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and we have a brand new PNSO model that has just arrived here for us to take a look at. This, as you can see, is Helio, the Helicoprion, and it looks really beautiful as far as the image here on the front of the box. Another really cool, very unexpected species to be released from PNSO, but they always seem to impress me when it comes to the species that they choose, because although they do have their fair amount of kind of more popular species, they also have quite a few very obscure species that you just don't expect to get made, and this is definitely one of those if you ask me. But it is a very pleasant surprise, and it is the very first Helicoprion to enter my collection. Again, it's pretty much your standard box art as far as what we have here on the front. We have an upside down image, but there you can see a really cool shot of the head of the Helicoprion, the PNSO logo over here, and every life deserves your respect. And then if we actually flip it to the opposing side, you can now see that it's the same thing, but we have Chinese up here, and then the underside just has some information as per usual. So let's go ahead and pop this out of its box right now. Before we take a look at that, we do have the really cool PNSO booklet that we always get included, which has a really nice image of the Helicoprion here on the front. And then when we actually open it up, we don't want to look at that side quite yet, because that side always has that glorious artwork of PNSO, but you can see that here on the inside of the insert we have a very nice image again of the head sculpt, another image up here of the figure, as well as kind of a silhouette right there, and then all kinds of information on both the species and of course PNSO here on the right side. But once we actually turn this around, and I love this part, every single time from these PNSO releases we have an incredible poster over here on this side, and the artwork that PNSO includes in their releases is honestly just jaw-dropping each and every time. I really feel like getting each of the booklets that include these posters and then framing them and putting them up on the wall. They are just that incredible, and that is just yet another of the many beautiful PNSO artwork posters that we've received so far. But as far as the actual Helicoprion, that is just gorgeous, and I love the fact that they've given it kind of like a very glossy appearance, because of course it would have a wet look to it, being a marine animal, and the overall appearance to this just looks incredible if you ask me. Really nice paintwork as well, shockingly nice. I wasn't entirely sure how good it would look in person, considering the fact that it just has, you know, fairly basic looking paint job. There's nothing overly flashy to it, but they actually have really nicely painted it, where you could see like lighter and darker tones of colors throughout the animal that transition really smoothly and very realistically. It's actually really impressive here at first glance. So let's go ahead and get a closer look right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see that as far as the texturing to the skin here of our Helicoprion, it is beautifully done. Like, there is a lot of really nice, very fine detailing, and you probably can't even really pick up on it really that well until we get nice and close and let the light kind of shine off of it. And now you can see just how incredible that detailing aspect of the animal is. You can also see a really nicely painted eye with a green and then a blue pupil, which is really cool. It actually looks incredibly nice on the figure. And there's also kind of an outline of blue that runs around the outer rim of the eye as well, which looks really nice. The coloration is super smooth as far as the paint application goes. You can see just an absolutely incredible transition as we run down the course of the animal right there. And I love how certain areas you can see like lighter tones, like right here, but it darkens around the eye, lightens up here. And then if you look up here on the top, as we turn it again, you can see like different areas that have been shaded, but then we also have that lighter kind of a brown that runs through, and it just looks super realistic with the really nice paint application here from PNSO. We do have an articulated jaw, which opens that trademark mouth of the Helicoprion with that saw-like look, and you can see that that as well looks incredible. Such a unique looking animal, just so strange, so alien-like with its appearance, but the inside of the mouth is beautifully sculpted. You can see the teeth all look incredibly well done. Each and every tooth seems to be sculpted individually, painted very nice and carefully. There is no sloppiness. You can also see a pinkish coloration in there as well. And you can see it over here again. It just looks beautiful the way that they've painted all of that out. You can also see inside the mouth in general a bit right there. It looks really, really nice. And the fact that it goes so far back there, you can't really see like the back of the mouth, it genuinely looks like it has a throat, which is really, really cool. The jaw as well is super, super smooth as far as the articulation goes. Like, that might be one of the smoothest articulated jaws I may have ever seen. You can also see the nostrils are sculpted out up here. As we move back here into the body a little bit further, you can see the gills are sculpted really beautifully right there. You also see some tones, again, some darker tones of brown that runs down here onto this front fin. As we take a look at the fin, you can see it starts out with a nice darker color, but transitions really smoothly to a lighter brown. And the actual texturing and everything out here on the fin is really beautifully done as well. And I love that there's kind of like some imperfections here as you run along the side of the fin. Again, very realistic aspect of an animal like this, because it's not going to look super pretty. You can see that up here on the dorsal fin as well, a few imperfections and also some really, really nice coloration. It may not be the flashiest color scheme that you'll ever see, but it's a really nice and natural color scheme, and I think that's what I like about it the most. It's just so nice the way it's applied. As you continue to move along the body of the animal, you can see just generally like the really nice structure of the animal, and you can really see that as I turn it and kind of let the light shine off of it. Again, look at how insanely smooth the transition from those browns to the white underbelly is. That is just ridiculously smooth, and it all has such a really cool kind of a glossy look, so it shines so nicely. Even the underside is actually really nicely detailed, but the shine is never more apparent, I would say, than when you see it here on the underside. It actually looks really cool, and potentially even cooler probably here in person. As I look at it outside of the camera, like the shine is really impressive, but when I look at it through the camera, it doesn't look quite as impressive as what I'm seeing here in person. So definitely a model that is a good candidate to pick up, of course, because it's PNSO, but also so you can check out how cool it looks as far as that gloss coat in person. As you lead out the length of the body as well, you lead out to the tail, and again we have some more really nice imperfections within the tail, like some cuts and stuff that the animal has sustained, as well as again some gorgeous detailing when it comes to the really fine texturing to the skin, but also that really beautiful paintwork, again transitioning between darker and lighter tones of brown, really nice, very smoothly, very realistically. Man, I cannot get over how cool this gloss coat looks on this. Like, it almost has like an iridescence type look. It's really interesting. And then if we take a look at the opposing side, again, the entire head sculpt looks really, really nice. You have, again, quite a few different variations of those browns included up here on the face, as well as that beautifully painted eye with a nice greenish coloration, yet again like we had seen on the previous side. And then as we lead back here into the body a little bit further, you can see the gills yet again on this side. Again, the really beautiful texturing to the skin. The imperfections on this one are actually a bit more drastic than what we had seen on the previous side. Like, you can really see like the cuts and stuff on this side are quite a bit larger than what we had seen on this one over here. You can see it's a little bit smaller over there. This one definitely has sustained a little bit more damage. As we lead up here, you can see how nice that dorsal fin looks. Again, has lots of imperfections to it, which I really, really like that aspect of the model, because sometimes you see companies release models like this and those areas kind of get skipped. They just look picture perfect, and that is not the case, though the animal actually would be in real life. So as usual, PNSO taking a very realistic approach to their model. And then as we continue to run out the course of the body, again, the transition is just insanely realistic right there between colors. I'm just in love with the actual paint application of this model, but you can yet again see the really nice structure of the animal. We do have a cloaca down here on the underside. As we lead out the length of the tail, you can see that the tail fin looks gorgeous over here. You have a beautiful curve to the second half. The front area has a slight curve, but not that much. But as you lead out here, there's definitely a bit of a stronger curve to the animal. But man, this thing is just incredible. It's so exciting to have a model of a Helicoprion from any company at all, but way more exciting to have it from PNSO, because I feel like PNSO is leading the charge as far as prehistoric models go right now, and this thing is just unbelievably nice. As far as a size for our Helicoprion goes, for a length, you are looking at right about 8¼ inches, or around the 21 centimeter range. And then for a height to the top of the dorsal fin, you are looking at a little bit over 2¾ inches, closing in on 3 inches, or about 7.5 centimeters, somewhere in that area. For a size comparison, here is the infamous Papo Rex, as well as the Attack Pack Colovosaurus and Robert Muldoon next to our Helicoprion. And you can definitely see in comparison to these figures right here that the size is actually quite impressive. Like, I was honestly quite blown away by the size because I kind of expected it to be a bit smaller when it had arrived, but I'm really pleased to tell you that it actually does sport a pretty darn good size overall. It's not huge, but it's definitely not small by any means. So this Helicoprion from PNSO is a fantastic release. This one was just shocking to me almost when I had initially found out about it. It really blew me away to know that somebody was actually going to make a Helicoprion, because there's just no figures of it at all that I can recall. I mean, there may be one or two somewhere, potentially maybe Kyoto has made one, and I know Safari Ltd has released a few like smaller tubes at times, but I honestly can't really recall, and I definitely do not remember a model of this size released of this species previously. So that is really exciting. Of course, PNSO continuing to lead the charge as far as giving us not only unbelievable models, but unbelievable models of species that we otherwise don't get the opportunity to enter into our collection. So that is really exciting to have the opportunity to have a Helicoprion, and not only to have one, but to have one this good. This thing is just incredible. Honestly, the promotional images do not in any way, shape, or form do this figure justice. This thing is just absolutely gorgeous here in person, and that really cool glossy look that you don't really notice on the promotional images just looks so nice here in person on the model. It's just super, super appealing to the eye. The sculpt of this is phenomenally well done, as usual, when it comes to PNSO, on something that, you know, has a nice kind of a smoother type of a look. It at the same time has a really nice textured appearance, but the texturing is so fine and so realistic. Like, it genuinely looks exactly like what I would expect this animal to look like if I had one here in person. This is exactly the way I would expect it to look as far as the texturing of the skin, and the overall detailing in general is beautifully done. I also love the fact that they don't have any kind of like a crazy dramatic pose on it. It's a really nice natural looking pose without any kind of like a strong curve or curl to the tail. Sometimes you'll get models of like prehistoric fish or sharks and stuff, and they'll have like this really kind of an awkward position that makes it a little bit hard to really capture like a good side of the model to really show off just how beautiful it is. And that is not how this one works. This one just has a really nice, really natural looking, but kind of a relaxing pose to it. Nothing crazy, nothing dramatic, and I like that aspect of the model as well. The paintwork is just as phenomenally beautiful as the sculpt. You could see so many different really nice variations of browns have been included, lighter and darker tones of brown, and the transitioning back and forth is insanely smooth. And I love the fact that they didn't just kind of paint like the upper side a darker brown and then like the midsection a lighter brown and then the underside a white. Like, they mixed the lighter and darker shades of brown, and it seems to be potentially like 2 to 3 different variations of those browns, and they mix them back and forth throughout the entire model. So it's really cool the way that it's painted, really lifelike. Definitely has a very realistic feel to the paint application. And then you also have a really nice articulated jaw, which is super smooth with the way it works, and is basically the icing on the cake for this model. This is just another absolutely gorgeous release from PNSO, which at this point, I'm quite convinced that they will never release anything that I'm going to say is anything but gorgeous. They just release top quality continuously, time and time again, and this model is without question just that. Top quality, absolutely beautiful. So if you are interested in picking this up, I will include a link in the description to where you can do that on the Amazon PNSO store, as well as Dan's Dinosaurs. So make sure you check the link in the description, pick this up one way or another, because it is definitely a model that is a great candidate for any collection. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.